And boom, welcome everyone to another episode of Nikon TV. My name is Mark Cruz and we are in the head office of Nikon Canada, and our episode today is going to focus on new and noteworthy items from Nikon in general. We've had a lot of announcements lately. Our last couple of episodes have focused on the Z series cameras. Now we're going to take a step back and look at some of the other announcements that have just come out. And a couple of those have been that we're going to talk about in this episode is the D3500 as well as the P1000. So we're going to start off with the D3500, and this is Nikon's entry-level SLR, and it's just been refreshed. It is essentially it's the successor of the D3400. And for those of you watching at home that might already have higher-end SLRs, professional-end gear, I want to just talk about who this camera is for, and even for those of you that are a little bit more advanced, what you might find appealing in a smaller SLR like this. Again, this is, in Canada, this is about a $699 camera with the lens. So it is a very kind of affordable entry-level format here. But it is really concentrated towards those people that are used to taking pictures, albeit with their cell phone, but want something more out of their photography. Now, if you're like me and you struggle at times taking pictures in low-lit environments with your cell phone, whether it doesn't have the high ISO capability or a powerful enough flash, that's where something like this really comes in handy. And the D3500 has a very powerful flash. Not only that, but it also performs really well in low light. So if, for example, you're shooting in low light, this camera can shoot up to 25,600 ISO. That's the native ISO range on this camera. It actually has a megapixel range of 24 megapixels. So for our entry-level model, we have 24 megapixels as well as up to 25,600 ISO. This is usually a professional specs, okay, but this is our entry-level format. Now, for those of you that haven't seen this type of model before, I think it's a great companion camera for those people that already have higher-end SLRs. And it might be something that you just want to take on a trip, on a casual excursion, and you want something that is smaller that'll fit in your packet, your backpack. I have D850, I have D5, but I do like to take the D3500 out now and then. And I just did the other day out to the distillery district, and I took some shots here in the distillery district with the low light capabilities of this camera, and I was even able to put it on a tripod and drag the shutter. If you want to take shots like these at night, and crank up that ISO, but put it on a tripod and drag the shutter, again, that's something that phones don't allow you to do, and that a true SLR will allow you to do, because you can adjust the shutter speeds to 30 seconds, to even put it on bulb so you can leave it open as long as you want and really drag that shutter. So again, it's geared for people that really want more out of their camera. Now, speaking of getting more out of your camera, if you buy the D3500 and you have all these options on the back here, such as the green mode, it'll do everything for you. But if you want to learn how to use the camera, so maybe one day you can better your photography, the D3500 has an exclusive guide mode. Now, this is the only camera in our lineup that has this guide mode, and I'm actually going to show it to you right here. I have it up on the screen, and this is the interface now of the D3500. It's very inviting. It's very, pictorial and user-friendly. I'm just going to show you something here that will help you better your photography. This is the shooting menu right now. And if I point it down to advanced operation, let's just take, for example, shooting kids playing sports. And it's very hard to do with something like this because the lens is so small, it doesn't zoom, and you can't really stop the action because the shutter speed doesn't go fast enough. But apart from just putting it on the sports mode, okay, what settings do you want to do? The camera actually tells you. It actually says that I'm going to put you right now on shutter priority mode, and I'm going to suggest that you use a shutter speed faster than 1/200th of a second. And then it actually shows you what the picture would approximately look like if you shot at a faster shutter speed. And check this out. If you go to a slower shutter speed, once you start getting to quarter of a second and whatnot, it actually shows you a graphic example of what that looks like at the slower shutter speed. So it really gears you up to make sure you succeed in your photography. There's a whole bunch of other menu options that you can choose from, whether it's blurring out the background, getting better landscape images. And again, remember, this is a completely interchangeable lens format. So when you take off that lens right there, you know that you can attach any one of Nikon's different over 90 plus lenses in their lineup right now. Okay, so that's, again, the 3500, but in it now, we're shipping it with the 18 to 55. So this is a great 3.5 times zoom lens. If you haven't gotten these entry-level cameras in a while, what's new with these AFP models is that, first of all, they're very small and compact. If you see what I did right there, there's a button right here to extend it. And this is your effective zoom range. When you're stowing it away in your bag, you compress it like this, and it basically fits in the palm of your hand. This is 365 grams body only. So this is actually Nikon's lightest DSLR to date. And don't let the word kit lens fool you guys. This is the AFP lens that is very, very sharp, very quiet, and extremely fast focusing. It's actually a lot faster than a lot of our AFS lenses for the entry-level kit model. So that is a couple of the cool specs that we're talking about when we look at the D3500. A couple of other things that I wanted to touch on here was the fact that if you look at the side of the camera now, it's very, very clean. This camera is very simple in the fact that it has two inputs. One of them is the HDMI port, so you can plug it into your TV if you wanted to review your images on your TV, but the other one is the USB port, and you can simply transfer your images. Now, noticeably gone from here, if you haven't seen these latest models, is the accessory port for your remote control, or for your, we have an accessory called the GP1A adapter where you can actually download GPS information onto your camera. What happened to all this functionality now? Well, the great thing about the D3500 is it's now Bluetooth compatible to either your smartphone or your tablet, whether you're running Apple iOS or if you're running Android, okay? And these apps, we have an app here called SnapBridge. It allows you to pair your camera, okay, right to your phone. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to download images right to your phone. Now that right there was a shot that I took just earlier this afternoon. And I'm just going to pull up a couple of images here. Now, this was taken a couple of hours ago. I went to my son's football game here, and I shot a few of these images on the 70-300 AFP. Perfect with the D3500. I mean, if you look at these images, I'm taking this from the sidelines very, very far away, and I'm able to stop the action. And not only that, guys, all those images that you see right there, like let's cut from that one to my phone here, and let's just see that image I actually already have here on my phone, okay? So that image, as I was shooting it, as it was happening, went right to my phone. No need to take out the memory card. It goes right to my phone. And not only that, but hey, I actually can airdrop it right to my tablet. So I have a copy on my phone, I have a copy on the tablet, and Nikon even gives you 20 gigabytes of free online cloud space when you sign up for their Nikon Image Space. It works seamlessly with SnapBridge, and you can have copies of your images in 3 different locations, including one that goes, you know, right on your camera itself. So you have the 24 megapixel version on your camera's memory card. You have a 2 megapixel on your phone, so you can immediately share it on Facebook or Twitter and Instagram, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. So that's the power of SnapBridge here. Other accessories that you can put on the D3500 are things like a flash. So what we see right there is the SB500 flash. The camera does have a pop-up flash of its own, but if you want to get a little bit more functionality, Nikon does make this very, very cool flash here. It allows you to tilt up, tilt side to side, bounce, but as well, let's see if we can get this to work here. We also have an option to turn on a little LED light. So if you're using it for, the LED is right there. So if you're using it for movies, it can actually shine the front of your subject. So this is the SB500. Works. It's a really good pairing with the D3500 because it's nice and compact. Okay, fits in your pocket. Only 2 AA batteries. So in addition to that, the camera can do 1080p video. But what's new with the D3500? It shoots at 60p in the full format of the DX format. Also, this is the longest lasting battery in its class. So believe it or not, using the same battery as the D3400 before it, we were able to squeeze out a couple of hundred more shots on the same battery. This goes up to 1,550 shots on one charge. And let me show you this. At that football game that I just showed you there, I took, I'm probably gonna count here, yeah, if you can see it on the screen, there's my shot count. I don't know if you see it in the upper right-hand corner, but it says 208 images, okay? I took 208 images. Not only that, so that's the lens moving back and forth, that's me reviewing them on the camera, and me sending them to my phone via Bluetooth that whole time. And I just want to show you the battery bar here is still at 3 bars. So it didn't even take off a bar. I took 208 shots and I transferred them all to my phone. This is a really fuel efficient camera. And if you're taking it out for a day of shooting, you will run the whole day without having to carry around an extra battery. That's the genius of this camera right here. I don't know how Nikon did it on their entry-level product, but we're up to 1,550 shots. This is actually more than a lot of our full frame and pro models. Shh, don't tell anyone. But that's the beauty behind the D3500. Now we're going to move on to another new and noteworthy item. By the way, guys, if you want to learn more about the D3500, make sure to check out the comments section, and we're going to drop a link to our YouTube channel in which we did a little video on the D3500. Okay, moving on. I got to show you this. This is the one that a lot of people are probably tuning in for. It is the P1000. Now, I'll preface that by saying Coolpix P1000. This is a Coolpix model, and you know, if you even just compare it in size to the D3500, it's a whole lot bigger. And I'm actually just going to compare it for a second here. Okay, so you're dealing with a much bigger model. I'm even just going to hold it right there, Mo. I'm going to bring up the predecessor to this, the P900. So if you see the two there in comparison, the P1000 is actually a little bit bigger, actually considerably bigger, but I'm going to show you a couple of features that it now has. So this is now out on the market. It came out the beginning of this month, the P1000. And what you're going to notice here is that it is, if you read up on the specs, it's a 3,000 millimeter zoom. So if you look at the front there, I'm just going to turn it on, okay? And I'm just going to, just watch this. I'm going to extend the lens here from 24 millimeter all the way to 3,000 millimeter. So this is, we don't have an SLR lens that goes up to 3,000 millimeter. Even if you put doublers on and teleconverters and crop factors, there is no lens that reaches up to 3,000 millimeters. Also, this lens has a very angle tilting screen. So you know what? If I wanted to do some vlogging or even just selfies, whether it's stills or video and whatnot, I can take one right now. I'm actually gonna just quickly take one of myself right here, and boom, there we go. Again, it's a Coolpix, so everything kind of works silently if you want to kind of deactivate the sounds and all that. And it's great for vloggers because you can tilt the screen forward like that. It's wide angle, so you can actually be close to the camera, but the real feature of this camera is that 3,000 millimeter zoom. The one before it was the P900, that was 2,000 millimeter. Nikon was able to make this an extra 1,000 millimeters longer. So this is technically it is 125 times zoom. And what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna show you a little video that shows how wide it goes. Okay, so this is 24 millimeters. Now, okay, we're gonna cut to the video, and I'm just gonna show you this quick video of a lion right here where we're actually panned all the way out. So this is at 24 millimeters here, and if you just hang with me, soon enough it's going to drag out to all the way right there to 3,000. Now it's going to keep going, keep going, keep going. More! This is all the way in, and this is video now, and it can be shot in 4K, all right? So this is an upgrade from the P900, which only shot at 1080p. And I'm going to actually transition out into a couple of stills from this camera as well. So this takes images now at 16 megapixels. It's a more reserved pixel count because we are dealing with a smaller sensor here. But again, this kind of shows you the diversity of this lens as we get closer and closer to our subject here. And we're going to see the last image in this sequence is actually going to be at 3,000 millimeters. And that's, by the way, guys, that's optical zoom. That's not digital zoom, okay? If you put in the digital zoom, this goes up to 6,000 millimeters long. And actually, the digital zoom is actually very clean. Now, let's go to another unique mode that this camera has, and that is something called the moon mode, okay? So typically, if you wanted to take a picture of the moon in the past, I've been working at Nikon for a long time here, I've had to sign out the 600 millimeter and the teleconverter and the tripod and the remote control, and then I have to underexpose the shot in order to get just the right exposure so I can start seeing the craters and all that. Somehow, the engineers of Nikon have actually culminated all those settings into one switch. So literally all you have to do is point it at the moon and get your shot. Now what I'm going to show you here, first of all, before I get into the stills, is just a video. So this is a video, and what you see here is the moon shot in 4K, all right? It's shot in 4K, and that's the moon. It doesn't even fit in the frame at 3,000 millimeters. It's actually cropped. Can you believe that? So you're actually seeing it move there in the, I guess, in the rotation of the Earth, and you can see a lot of details in the craters. So now I'm just going to transition into the moon mode here, and we're just going to show you wide angle shots of what you would get at 24 millimeters, and we're going to zoom in all the way to 3,000. And I'm going to tell you from experience, as you're transitioning and you're seeing these pictures here, I was able to do this handheld, and I'm not a very strong guy. I can usually hang, you know, with 70 to 300 millimeter lenses, but I mean, this I was able to hold tight at a 1/30th of a second. I kid you not, I could show you the metadata. It is 1/30th of a second without a tripod, okay, shot at, I believe, 3200 ISO. That's all you need, because at that exposure on a regular night, you can actually capture all the craters in the moon. 3,000 millimeters, 1/30th of a second. That should be a no-no for a lot of you, because that's way beyond the safe zone in terms of shutter speed. What allows you to do it is the VR in this camera. I don't know how Nikon did it, but they made this VR that you can literally hold still. The other key thing is that Nikon knew that when you shoot the moon at 3,000 millimeters, any little jitter is gonna render, whoa, I'm actually touching the zoom button, that's why it's extending there. It can actually render those craters quite blurry. So it has a self-timer on the moon mode. So when you press the shutter release, it will wait 5 seconds until it takes the picture. And in those 5 seconds, the camera actually stabilizes. Kid you not, try it yourself, get the camera, shoot without a tripod, and get a picture of the moon so close that it doesn't even fit in the frame. Unbelievable. Okay. So a couple of other examples I'm going to show you here, because it's not just about the moon, it's not just about shooting, you know, wildlife from far away. You can actually use it for people. And here's a couple of examples of that. Again, this is just a couple of horseback riding examples, but when you zoom in, the skin tones, very pleasing. The way it renders colors and detail, it's a great, magnificent lens that has such a broad appeal, okay? So that's the things you can do with this camera. Oh, one thing that I forgot to tell you guys is with the moon mode, we're going to cut to this here, it also has the ability to tint the moon. So get this, you don't have to wait till the blood moon comes or the blue moon. There are ways in this camera to simply, one second here, I just got to tell my parents, I can't talk to them right now. Okay, great. You can tilt or tint the moon to whatever color you want, okay? So there, the blue moon, you can do that right in camera, and you didn't have to actually wait for it to happen, okay? So that is the P1000, and the next thing that I'm going to show you that is new and noteworthy is an accessory for this camera here. Now, Jacob, do we have a screenshot here of the Bluetooth remote that we can just pull up? I don't know if we fit that in the timeline. Oh yeah, there it is, perfect. So we also have a Bluetooth remote control. It's an accessory, it doesn't come in the box, but this allows you not only to trigger the camera, not only to start the movies, but also to control the zoom of the lens. So again, this is a 3,000 millimeter lens. There's going to be a lot of shake, no matter how stable it is. You can actually control the zoom just through that Bluetooth remote. Brilliant. It's in Canada, it's about $69, but well worth it if you're going to spend the approximately $13.99 for this in Canada. Good value on that. Now, I got to show you this because this is the coolest thing, and I don't know where Nikon gets these ideas, but it makes a lot of sense to me, especially when you're dealing with a long telephoto lens. And if you're like me, you shoot maybe birds, wildlife. When you extend that zoom lens, a lot of times you get lost in that very narrow field of view. So what Nikon developed is a little accessory here called the DFM1 dot sight. And what it does, because Nikon now has a hot shoe on top of the P1000. It allows you to add this little accessory on top of the camera like so. Okay, so as you can see right here, and if I hit the eject button, okay, now what you do is you look through that, whoop, I'm gonna align it up there. You look through that, and when you turn it on, there's a little glowing red or green reticle that you can align with. And so when you're zoomed all the way out to 3000 millimeter, it doesn't even have to be 3000, it can be, you know, 2000 or even 1000. It's very hard to find your way. So essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna use the camera almost like a firearm, almost like a rifle, but you're gonna align your target with that dot sight, okay, and you're gonna be able to see the full field of view. And what's so brilliant about this is that if you're taking a picture and your image is a little bit high or a little bit low in your frame, there is an up, down, left, right, much like the turrets in a scope that you can use to adjust that reticle. So this is such a cool device from Nikon. And you know what? Because it just sits here on the hot shoe, I found out you could use it even on an SLR with a long telephoto lens. So the other day I put it on my Z7 with a 500 millimeter lens and it was working just like it would on the P1000. So it's just a brilliant device. It goes for about $229 here in Canada. It's called the DFM1, and tell you the truth, there's no electronics to it, so you could use it really on any camera that has a cold or, in this case, hot shoe. Speaking of the hot shoe, I'm just going to talk about this for one quick second. This camera now, again, it shoots in 4K, as I mentioned, but it now has a microphone input, which you can use something like the Nikon ME1 microphone. So you can record your sound in stereo, plug it here onto the side, get a shotgun microphone, what have you. You can even use wireless microphones like I have on me right now, like a Sennheiser wireless body pack, and shoot and get sound from really, really far away. You can have literally your subject down the block shooting them and getting their sound. The other thing that you can do on this camera is HDMI, clean HDMI out. So if you have a Ninja or anything like that, you can actually record a clean feed from a Coolpix. Okay, this has never been done before on a Coolpix camera. Other cool features about this, it comes with a lens hood, so something our P900 did not, so it kind of acts as a good shade, especially when you're shooting wide angle. There's a filter thread on the front, so if you're doing long exposures and you want to put on a neutral density filter or a polarizing filter, there's a 77 millimeter front. And I gotta show you at the front here, if we can get a tight on this, there is now a manual focus ring, very smooth, and it works along with the peaking feature of the camera. So that manual focus ring is a godsend for something like this where the telephoto is so long, the depth of field is so shallow, and that focus ring is so smooth. By the way, that focus ring can be adjusted to do 3 other different things. You can adjust exposure, white balance, aperture on this exposure ring. So that's other things that Nikon's done. They've basically done the same thing on their new S-Line series on their Z format, but it's also in the P1000. And lastly, if you're gonna upgrade to the P1000, you're gonna do it because it has probably the best electronic viewfinder of any Nikon Coolpix to date. It's over 2 million pixels, way more higher density than, say, the P900 or even the B700. It's a leap beyond. Now, I want to show you a couple of example pictures from this camera because I just want to show you the resolution that you can get from the P1000. This right here is taken at about 100 millimeters. So again, it's not necessarily about going all the way out to 3000 millimeters. All these areas in between render very, very sharp, clear images. And look at the colors that this camera renders too. Now, we're talking about shooting the moon, but what about shooting things that are right in front of you? This is the built-in macro mode of the P1000. Can you believe this? The same craters that this is shooting the moon with is shooting these little flowers with those little details right there. It's amazing. And check out this next picture. I just want to also talk about the dynamic range of this Coolpix sensor. If you're going on travels and you want to just carry one camera around, you can get this beautiful gradation of blacks to highlights and everything in between in this great travel camera option. And in addition to that, we have a lot of different special effects here, like a black and white mode. Check out this cool contrasty black and white mode here. And look at the close minimum focusing distance and the way the background blur comes out of this 24 to 3000 millimeter lens. I mean, you would think that would be kind of like a specialty lens right there. This is coming straight out of camera. So I'm really happy to show all these features of the new P1000 for you. For any other information, we also are going to drop a link in the comment section right now to redirect you to our YouTube channel, and you can click a link and learn more about the P1000. Now, that was a whirlwind there. We went through a lot of items, and if you guys have any questions, we're going to come back in 2 minutes and take your questions. So see you in 2 minutes, guys. Thanks a lot. We're back, guys. All right, so we have a couple of inbox questions that we got on our Facebook page here, so I'm going to just address a couple of these. This question comes from Tom, and his question is, can I use my speed light on the P1000? Thanks for the question, and the answer is yes. Because I showed you the dot sight on the hot shoe, I showed you the microphone on the hot shoe, but yes, of course, you can use your speed light on the hot shoe, and that is irregardless if you have SB 5000, 700, 500 like I have on here, and I've used it. It works in TTL and all this stuff beautifully. So again, this might be one of the most versatile cameras Nikon has ever come out with. Oh, I didn't mention, this also shoots in RAW. So that's another major advancement of this camera, is that it is one of literally 2 Coolpixes in our lineup right now that shoots in the NRW format for Coolpix. So again, if you're one of those photographers that want to do adjustments on their images, I know in the past some people didn't want to just shoot in JPEG, so they really demanded that RAW feature. It is now in this camera. But in terms of the speed lights, yes, you can do it. Thanks for the question, Tom. Next one comes from Mary, and her question is, what is the kit lens that comes with the D3500? Yeah, if you just tuned in, the D3500, a lot of our cameras you can buy body only, but if you get the kit, and I strongly advise you do, a lot of people say, it's just the kit lens, I'll just use whatever lens I have. The kit lens is actually really, really good. And if you're looking for a small, light, compact camera, the kit lens makes this the lightest compact package that you can get. Okay, and you know, the image quality is really, really good. And I've used all of Nikon's Prime 1.4 lenses and things like that. I'm very pleased with the quality of the 18 to 55 AFP. Again, it's also a fly-by-wire focusing system, so it is very fast, very smooth, and you don't catch the autofocusing sounds when you're shooting video. Word of advice though, if you're ever getting filters for the 18 to 55 that comes on the D3500, it is a 55mm front objective. So don't get it confused. In the past we've had 52, it's now 55. So that's typically the lens that you can get with it. There are some places where you can actually get a dual lens kit, and it'll often be found with a 70 to 300, and this is a great pairing. That's what I shot those football pictures with. I'm actually just gonna bring it up right now just to show you guys, because I love these pictures. They're taken with the D3500 earlier today, and you know what? They're already on my iPad. If you're just tuning in, I can get Bluetooth from the D3500 onto my smart device within seconds, okay? And oh, I actually didn't show you this. This is the whole reason I did this exercise this afternoon, was to show you guys. Now watch this. Okay, so these are the pictures that I took earlier today, and because this is synchronized to my phone via Bluetooth, not only does it transfer right to my phone 2 megapixels, but did you know that it also inherits the proper date and time from my phone? So if I'm traveling to another province, it automatically updates the time on the camera. But get this, it also puts in, I don't know if you guys can see that, that's the altitude, longitude, latitude of where the picture was taken. So it takes the GPS information from your phone and tags all your pictures with all that GPS info. If you put it inside of our ViewNXi software, you can actually plot these pictures on a map. So no more need for a GP1 accessory when it comes to the D3500. And that's because the magic of Bluetooth. You can actually have all the GPS information from the phone, which is literally a few feet from your camera, download onto all your pictures. So how did I get on that train of thought here? It was from the question of what kit lens comes with the D3500. How did I digress into all that stuff? Anyways, thanks for the question, Mary. We're gonna get to 3 more questions here. Next one comes from George. His question is, I have the D5300. Oh boy, now we're confusing ourselves. Same numbers, different order. And we have he has the D5300 and he loves it. What's the difference between the two? Well, D5300, yes, there's certain grades of cameras in Nikon's lineup. The D5300 is technically a little bit more, maybe like $100 more than the D3500, but it is an older model. The things that it has that the 3500 doesn't have is a tilting screen and more focus points. That's the main differences. It is an older camera from a few years ago, so the D3500 now has Bluetooth. The D5300 had Wi-Fi. So when you're dealing with the D3500, you're only going to have Bluetooth, so that allows you to transfer images and even now remote control the camera. That's a new feature with the D3500 with your phone. You won't be able to get a live preview on your phone because the Bluetooth doesn't support the bandwidth that requires you to have a live preview, but you can still trigger it. So just another key differentiator, if you're using an MLL3 for triggering your cameras, such as the D5300, the D3500 no longer has MLL3 support because you can just trigger it with your phone using the SnapBridge app. Very easy, and that's the direction Nikon's taking for all their different cameras now. So thanks for the question. I believe that was from George. Okay, so those are the main differences between the two. Oh, and the other difference is D3500 comes with a, I would say better 18 to 55 AFP version. Other thing, did I mention the battery was 1,550 shots? So that's probably maybe like 600 shots more than the same battery used on the D5300. So there are some advancements because this is 2018 technology, but that's a great question, okay? Next question here comes from Aaron. His question is, can I get SnapBridge on my Android or is it just iPhone? Great news, yes, you can get it on Android devices as well, so long as it's meeting the latest operating system requirements. So check on the Google Play Store what operating system that you need for Android, as well as on iOS devices, because it doesn't support anything older than, I think, 4.1 or something like that. So make sure you check both the Android, Google Play, as well as the App Store for those, okay? Couple more questions here. This is great, guys. Keep them coming. And if you don't want to ask any questions, just keep pressing the like button. And if you want, scroll to the side, click the love button if you really like what you're seeing, and we'll come back with more episodes in the future, okay? This question comes from Aaron. He says, can I get SnapBridge on, well, no, I already read that one. Thanks, Aaron. I think I answered you already. This question comes from Cynthia. Okay. 1 second here. It asks, what kind of battery does the P1000 use? Okay, so P1000 uses, if my memory serves me, it uses the ENEL20A, and drum roll please. Yes, okay, I'm right. ENEL20A, if you've had a Nikon 1 camera before, or even the Coolpix A, it uses the same battery as that, but that is the battery right there. It's kind of a square boxy type battery, and that is for the P1000, so thanks for that question. All right, now here's another one here from, this is from our comment section, and what are the video file formats? Okay, from, gosh, I don't know exactly how to pronounce your name, but the file formats, oh, I'm assuming this is for the P1000. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm actually going to go into the menu here to look at the file formats, because I believe that this can record an MOV. So that is the file format that you can record onto this, but again, you can output this as well to an external monitor like a Ninja or a, or just 1 second here, I'm just going to shoot a really quick video because some of our cameras use different file formats, and lo and behold, sorry, my bad, it's an MP4, my bad. It is an MP4 on the P1000. I'm glad we're fact-checking one another because we're all in this together. So the MP4 file format is what the P1000 shoots on. So thank you very much for that question, gosh. Okay, do we have any more? Okay, so we do have a couple of questions. Okay, so I'm just, if you can just bring that up again. I'm just reading off what our formats here are for the P1000, and you can take still pictures, as I said, in JPEG and RAW. So there's the NRW format for RAW. So it's not NEF, it's NRW. But the video is MP4, and if you want a little other information on it, it's H.264 for the video as well, and we can record 4K UHD on the P1000. So thank you for that question. Excellent question, guys. Excellent engagement tonight. I hope you're excited, just like me, for a lot of these different cameras that are offered in Nikon's huge breadth of product offering. Again, everything from the entry level, which they do a really good job with, so much so that I want to take this around and shoot with it. It has a really good feel in the hand. Love the D3500, what they've done with it, also what they've done with the ergonomics. They've moved everything over to the right-hand side. Lightest camera they've ever made SLR-wise, and this beast right here, maybe one of the most versatile cameras the Nikon's made with the P1000, and some other cool accessories that they've made for it too that I never thought they would have with the DFM1 dot sight. So hopefully that answered all your questions. If you have any more, send us some inbox. Check out our YouTube videos that we dropped in the comments section, and we will see you next time on Nikon TV. Thanks, guys.